Hello and welcome back to Kim Reads as we continue with Maryellen, the one and only. The All Girls Room, Chapter 2. Let's say this, said Mrs. Larkin. We'll give the All Girls Room a try tonight. Sharing a room with your big sisters will be a test for you, Ellie. If you can show that you can be tidy and responsible, we'll consider making the All Girls Room permanent. Do we have a deal, ladies? I suppose so, said Joan with a shrug. It's fine with me, said Carolyn. Yes, said Maryellen. She understood that if she failed the test, she'd lose her chance for the all-girls room. There was something even more important that was at stake. If she failed the test, she'd lose her chance to improve Mom's opinion of her. Let's settle then, said Mom. Joan and Carolyn, come with me and I'll give you some fresh bread sheets. You better move your pajamas and whatever else you need for tonight into Ellie's room. Ellie, if I were you, I'd start a cleanup campaign right away. I will, Mom, said Maryellen. While the others headed into the linen closet, Maryellen decided outside to speak to Davy. Looks like I'll be inside for a while, she said. I've got to clean up my room. How come? Asked Davy. He was sitting at the swing, spitting himself to make himself dizzy. Maryellen explained how the room switcheroo. Joan didn't want to do it because she thinks I'm messy. Mom said she had to do it, but it'll be a test for me. A test of what? Asked Davy. Neatness mostly, Maryellen said, and be careful what I do. Davy grinned. Or what you don't do, he said. Just don't make a mess. Right, said Maryellen, cheered up by Davy as always. That'll be easy. Usually when Mom asked Maryellen to clean up her room, she gave a lick and a wash, shoving her clothes into drawers, tossing her shoes into a closet, and yanking the bed covers up. But now Maryellen folded her clothes neatly, lined up her clothes in the closet, and pulled her covers taut so that not one lump or wrinkle could be seen. Then she dusted at the top of her burrow in case Joan and Carolyn wanted to put their brushes and combs there. Look, Mom, she said. Ta-da, I made everything tidy and beautiful. Mrs. Larkin gave Maryellen's work a quick glance. Good, she said. She tucked a sheet under the mattress of the upper bunk. Mom didn't seem overly impressed by her effort, so Maryellen looked around to see what else she could do. She collected Tom's trucks and Mikey's blocks in a box and slid under the bed just as Joan and Carolyn appeared, their arms full. Maryellen was delighted to see that in addition to her pajamas, Joan was bringing her tennis dress, bobby pins, cold cream, and several books and magazines. Carolyn was bringing some clothes, some rock and roll records, and her portable record player. Now that's more like it, thought Maryellen. Instead of babyish toy trucks and blocks, the all-girls room will be full of grown-up things like books, rock and roll records, and movie star magazines. You need that all for one night? Asked Mom, shaking her head at Joan and Carolyn. Not all of it is for me, said Carolyn. I thought while I was at it, I might as well move these dresses I've outgrown into Ellie's closet. Carolyn showed Maryellen a plaid dress. I wore this dress to the first day of 4th grade, she said, so I thought maybe you'd like it too. Carolyn hung the dress in the closet and then scrambled up onto the top bunk. Thanks, said Maryellen, polite but not thrilled. Hey, said Joan, I remember that dress. I wore it in the 4th grade too. I used to think it was cute. After Joan and Carolyn left, Maryellen held the plaid dress in front of herself as she looked into a mirror. She sighed. Mom, don't you think this hand-me-down dress is sort of old and worn out? I sure would love a brand new outfit to wear for the first day of 4th grade. Maryellen imagined herself in a chic, fashionable outfit like the ones girls on TV shows wore. The perfect back-to-school dress would be guaranteed the perfect start to a school and a perfect year in the 4th grade. She said eagerly, Mom, you and I should go shopping, and Maryellen, Mrs. Larkin interrupted in a no-nonsense voice. Carolyn's plaid dress is perfectly fine for your first day of school. You don't need anything new except maybe socks and underwear. But right now, I can't even think about a shopping trip. I got my hands full getting ready for Betty and Florence. Now come and help me gather up these sheets for the laundry. Okay, Mom, said Maryellen. She was disappointed, but even new underwear was better than nothing, and Mom sounded unusually harried. As one of 6 children, Maryellen had learned long ago the sad but true lesson that parents had only a certain amount of patience and energy and attention to give, and you couldn't use more than your share or parents got mad. So she quietly helped Mom with the sheet. She saved the shopping conversation for later. After lunch, Mrs. Larkin said, "Kids, I've got to scrub the kitchen floor. I need you out of my hair and out of the house for a while. Why don't you all go to the beach?" She turned to Davy, who had come over for lunch, and said, "Davy, ask your mom if you may go, if you like." The girls hurried off to put in their swimsuits. The Larkins lived in Daytona Beach, Florida, just a few blocks from the ocean. Maryellen felt lucky that on hot days like this, she could go to the beach to swim and cool off. Maryellen was ready in a flash, so she went back to the kitchen where Mom was helping Mikey put on his bathing trunks. Maryellen saw an old photo that she had never seen before on the kitchen table. The photo was of Mom and 2 smiling ladies standing in front of a factory. Maryellen immediately figured out that the 2 ladies were Betty and Florence. "Hey, Mom," she asked as she looked at the photo, "what did you and Betty and Florence do at the factory?" "Well, they worked on the assembly line, and I was the line manager," said Mrs. Larkin. "The manager?" repeated Maryellen. "You mean you were the boss of the whole assembly line?" "I sure was," said Mom, tying Mikey's shoelaces. Maryellen was stunned. She had never realized that Mom had such an important job. And now Mom was just stayed at home and made life organized and smooth and pleasant for their family. "What do Betty and Florence do now?" Maryellen asked. "They're secretaries at an airline company in New York," said Mom. "Oh," said Maryellen. Mom's friend's job sounded swank and fancy. She asked, "Are you sorry you're not working now, Mom?" "Ellie, my dear," said Mom in a jokey way as she pulled a shirt down over Mikey's head. "Managing you kids is harder work than managing an assembly line was." But by now, everyone was ready to go. Mom handed beach towels to Joan and said, "Okay, troops, off you go to the beach. Be back by 2, no later. Joan, keep an eye on the little ones. Vamoose." "Okay, Mom," everyone said. "Bye." Davy joined the parade of Larkins walking to the beach, following with Scooter Maryellen. "What's up, Doc?" Davy asked, pretending to be Bugs Bunny. "I was thinking about Mom," said Maryellen, "and what her life was like when she had a job during the war. Guess what? It turns out that Mom was important. She was a line at the Boss factory." "Wow," said Davy. "Why'd she quit?" "Lots of women quit working after the war," said Carolyn, "so returning soldiers could have jobs." "Mom shouldn't have quit. She was famous," Beverly sighed, "like a movie star." "Well, she wasn't exactly a movie star, but she was the star of the factory back when Betty and Florence worked with her," said Maryellen. "And now Mom's life is about to be as exciting and glamorous as Scooter's," Davy finished for her. "Yes," said Maryellen. Her heart swelled with love and sympathy for Mom. Probably Mom felt sort of taken for granted. Maryellen knew how that felt. Surely Mom missed standing out and being admired as she had been when she was an important boss at the factory. Maryellen made up her mind right then. "I'm going to think of a way for Mom to impress her friends." Her next thought made her so excited her heart skipped a little skip. "And then Mom will be impressed with me." Maryellen loved the ocean. Its roar, its salty tang, the huge blueness of it stretched all the way to the sky. "Last one in is a rotten egg," she challenged Carolyn and Davy. Legs pumping, arms waving, the kids raced across the scorching sand. Maryellen plunged headfirst into an incoming wave. Swoosh. She had timed it just right so that the wave lifted her up into the bright summery air. "Yoo-hoo!" Maryellen hooted exuberantly. In a second, Carolyn popped up next to Maryellen in the water. "All right," she said, "you win." Davy popped up next. "I guess I'm the rotten egg," he said, but watch, someday I'll be faster than you." Maryellen doubted it. Davy was a pretty good runner, but Maryellen was fiercely determined when it came to running. She had had a sickness called polio when she was younger, and one leg was a little bit weaker than the other. Sometimes Maryellen worried that Mom babied her because of her leg, but Maryellen never let her leg slow her down. She still remembered 2 years ago when she was sick. The local swimming pool had closed that year to avoid spreading polio. Ever since then, Dad had put the kibosh on going to the community pool. It was forbidden. Although it was fun to be at school with Davy and her brothers and sisters, Maryellen missed Dad. He always rode the waves with her. She flew in the water and looked back at the shore. Queen Beverly was building a sandcastle. Tom and Mikey kept knocking her castle down, so after a little while, Davy got out of the water to help her by distracting them. "Hey boys," Davy shouted as he walked up to the beach. "Let's dig a hole in China." Joan was lying on the beach towel reading as usual. Scooter snoozed next to her. "Say, Joan," Carolyn called, "come on in, the water's fine." Joan didn't even take her eyes off her book. "No thanks," she called back. "I bet she doesn't want to get her hair wet," Carolyn said to Maryellen. "She has a tennis date with Jerry later." "Ooh, a date," said Maryellen, instantly interested. Jerry was Joan's boyfriend. He went to college and had a car. Maryellen thought Jerry was a dreamboat because he was so handsome, even though she was still mad at Joan for the crabby, critical thing she said that morning. Maryellen had to admit that Joan and Jerry were a perfect couple. So Joan is 17, but her boyfriend's in college. All right. A brilliant thought came to her. If Joan married Jerry, she'd move out and go live with him. Then she'd stop picking on Maryellen all the time. And Maryellen would have only Mom to win over in the all-girls room. Maryellen turned to Carolyn, who knew all about love and marriage because she was in high school, and asked, "Do you think Joan and Jerry will get married?" "Well," said Carolyn, "millions of girls get married after high school, and Joan and Jerry are already going steady. The next step is for Jerry to give Joan his fraternity pin. That means they're engaged to be engaged. Then he gives her the engagement ring, and then comes the wedding." "Gee," said Maryellen, "I didn't think there would be so many steps. So I'm sort of hoping they get married soon." "Me too," said Carolyn. "I love weddings. I wonder if Joan would let us be bridesmaid." "Maybe you and I could encourage Joan and Jerry," said Maryellen. "How?" asked Carolyn. "Well, first of all, you give Jerry a little nudge," said Maryellen, "and tell him to hurry up and propose to Joan." "Yikes," said Carolyn. "I'm too chicken to do that." "I'm not," said Maryellen. "Jerry's not scary." "It's not Jerry that I'm scared of," said Carolyn's Joan. "She'd skin us alive if she found us out." "She doesn't need to know," said Maryellen. "We'll just talk to Jerry sometime when Joan's not around." Carolyn began to say, "Joan won't." Right then, Davy came splashing back in the water. "Come on," he said. "Let's get underwater somersaults." "Okay," said Maryellen and Carolyn, putting the topic of marriage aside. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.